Have you ever felt so kind that it leaves you completely drained? A kind of tiredness no one else notices because on the outside you still look polite, gentle, always willing to help, always seeming okay. Yet inside something is quietly breaking, a strange feeling as if you are slowly fading inside your own life. The confusing part is that you did nothing wrong, you were only being nice. So why does it hurt this deeply? Jung once explained that people rarely lose themselves through big dramatic events, but through small moments when they step aside so others can move ahead. A quiet nod, a moment you ignore your real feelings, a time you say it's okay when it truly isn't, and slowly, you no longer know if you are living honestly or just acting out a pleasant version of yourself that the world expects to see. If you are listening to this, maybe your intuition is trying to tell you something important. It is time to stop being nice in a way that empties you. It is time to understand that kindness is not endless self-sacrifice, but the ability to live truthfully without losing compassion. It is time to step into the deeper meaning of this lesson. Stop being nice and start being wise. Stop reacting with automatic niceness and begin practicing conscious kindness. There is a truth most people avoid facing. Many are not exhausted because life is cruel, but because they have worn the mask of kindness for so long that they no longer remember their real face. Jung called this mask the persona, the outer shell we build to meet society's expectations, to be liked, to be seen as warm, gentle, easy to be around. But the persona is never free. Every time you smile when you don't want to, agree when you actually don't, or say everything is fine when it isn't, you are paying a quiet emotional cost your soul keeps record of. Jung never said the persona was evil. It helps us function in the world. The problem begins when kindness turns into a role you feel forced to maintain. When being liked becomes more important than inner truth. When the comfort you give others becomes discomfort you place on yourself. Jung wrote that the persona is what we are not, but what we and others think we are. At that point it becomes a subtle form of self-betrayal, not lying to others but to yourself. Think of Anna, a woman in an office where everyone calls her the sweetest person there. She accepts extra tasks because she cannot say no. She forces smiles even when exhausted. She avoids saying anything that might upset someone. Everyone praises her kindness, but at night she lies awake staring at the ceiling, feeling strangely empty though nothing terrible happened that day. That hollow feeling is the persona beginning to crack. She is living as a version shaped for others, not the version born from her own truth. People who are overly nice are not morally superior. Often they are afraid of disappointing others, afraid of being misunderstood, afraid of conflict, afraid of not being enough. These fears make them maintain the persona like delicate armor. But the longer they wear it, the weaker they feel. Jung described this as erosion of the soul, because beneath the mask the unconscious always knows the truth. The unconscious is not convinced by forced smiles or polite apologies used to avoid tension. It only knows that you keep choosing others over yourself. The persona becomes like a two-sided mirror. One side reflects what the world wants. The other side is empty because it reflects nothing that belongs to you. Some people live this way so long that when asked what they want or feel, they cannot answer. They first ask, "Who do others want me to be?" instead of, "Who am I?" Jung noticed in therapy that overly nice people often lose touch with their desires. They know only how to keep everyone comfortable. They confuse peace with silence and love with submission. But real peace does not come from avoiding tension. It comes from living in alignment with your nature without shrinking yourself. Kindness at any cost is not real kindness. When you are kind only to be liked, people love the mask, not you. But when you live authentically, the right people stay and the wrong ones leave. That is the wisdom this lesson points toward. Stop being nice and start being smart. Not because the world is heartless, but because you deserve kindness that does not exhaust you. Real strength is not being the most agreeable person, but being the most honest with yourself. You don't need to become rude. You only need to listen to your emotions and protect them. When you stop living for acceptance, you begin living in freedom. As the mask of kindness cracks, you begin to see something deeper. Behind constant agreeableness is not always goodness, but often a suppressed shadow. Jung called the shadow the part of the psyche we reject and hide. It never disappears. It waits quietly in the unconscious until you are tired enough for it to surface. Jung wrote that what you resist does not fade, it grows. Emotions you push down expand. The more you try to be endlessly good, the more hidden irritation, resentment, fatigue, and fear collect inside. Even if you hide them well, they leak out through sudden anger, emotional shutdown, or unexplained heaviness. Jung saw that overly nice people fear conflict so deeply they sacrifice themselves to avoid it. They believe expressing needs will hurt others, refusing will cause rejection, so they store everything unsaid inside, but the unconscious does not forget. Eventually the shadow appears not to harm you, but to protect what you abandoned within yourself. I once heard of Sarah, a woman who pleased everyone, her husband, children, extended family. She cooked for everyone's taste, handled every responsibility, avoided every argument. Others saw her as patient and warm, but at night she sat alone feeling suffocated, sometimes crying over small remarks. That was not weakness. That was her shadow asking to be heard, asking to say, "I'm tired." The shadow is like a storage room where you keep pushing clutter so the living space looks clean. Eventually the door bursts open. Jung said we become enlightened not by imagining light, but by making darkness conscious. Your shadow is not your enemy. It is the part of you asking for recognition. Often the roots of excessive niceness begin in childhood. Many adults don't realize their behavior started as a survival strategy. An inner child learned to read emotions to stay safe. Not always through major trauma, but through repeated small tensions, harsh tones, parental conflict, disappointed expressions. A child learns to be loved. I must be good, quiet, agreeable. So they become peacemakers. As adults they think it is personality, but it is adaptation. Jung said until the unconscious becomes conscious it directs your life and you call it fate. The inner child still reacts. It makes you apologize when not wrong, agree when tired, smile when hurt. I once met Olivia, loved for her gentleness. Whenever anyone was upset, she apologized even when unrelated. As a child she hid during her parents' arguments. She learned softness reduced tension. She carried that lesson into adulthood. Her apologies came from fear, not kindness. Over time this leads to overfunctioning, doing more than your share and calling it love. Jung described this as misdirected life energy. Nice people aren't tired from helping, they're tired from fixing everything for everyone. Lucas was like this, working long hours, then handling everyone else's duties at home. He feared disappointing anyone. When asked when he last felt supported, he couldn't remember. He had forgotten love is mutual, not one-sided labor. Imagine a small boat towing 5 large ships. It sinks not from storms but from overload. Overly nice people sink the same way. They think they are weak, but they are simply pulling what isn't theirs. This leads to the need for boundaries. Boundaries are not cruelty, they are clarity. Jung believed freedom comes when you know what is yours and what isn't. Boundaries are doors with locks. You choose who enters. Without boundaries, kindness is overused. With them, kindness becomes a choice. Many who help everyone feel unseen when they need help because they never expressed needs. Others assume they need nothing. Boundaries are even biological. Without them, the nervous system stays in constant stress. With them, the body relaxes, energy restores. Interestingly, those who truly care respect your limits. Only those benefiting from your lack of them resist. As boundaries grow, another truth appears. Not everyone deserves your kindness equally. This requires emotional discernment, the ability to sense motives beneath behavior. Naive kindness sees surface expressions. Wise kindness sees patterns. Jasmine once helped a colleague constantly complaining of stress yet wasting hours online. She realized she wasn't helping someone struggling, she was enabling someone avoiding responsibility. Discernment is not judgment, it is awareness. People send signals through tone, eye contact, reactions to limits. If you can't read them, you treat everyone the same and burn out. Like looking at the ocean's surface but missing the undercurrents below. This journey eventually leads to authentic power, not coldness but inner stability. Jung said the privilege of a lifetime is becoming who you truly are. Living from ego seeks approval. Living from the self expresses natural truth. Ethan feared people would stop needing him if he stopped overgiving. But when he changed, he didn't lose real relationships. He lost only exploitative ones. He became calm, clear, steady. Authentic power is quiet. It does not demand recognition. It simply exists. Kindness from the self has boundaries, awareness, honesty. It gives without self-loss. Stopping excessive niceness was never about becoming harsh. It is about returning to yourself, protecting your energy, choosing nourishing relationships, speaking truth without fear. If this message resonates, share it with someone who feels exhausted from being too nice. This path is not about becoming someone new, but becoming your most honest, conscious, and whole self.